Hello there, guys. Welcome back to my channel for another What We Really Learned, plus a load of other discussions of Manchester City 1, Chelsea 2. As you can see, I am still by myself because Con hasn't actually turned up yet, Mr. ConnCFC, of course. Hopefully he will very soon. Tammy should be joining us fairly soon as well, maybe. It all depends on whether he's having a driving lesson now or later. No one knows. So I was like, Let me not wait around too long for Con or anybody else. If he's going to turn up, he's going to turn up. Hopefully, he's going to turn up soon. I'm going to just have a chat with all of you lovely people. Let me know if you're watching right now. Let me know where you're watching from. Put it in the chat right now. And I hope you're all doing really well. Obviously, this is usually the day after every single game. This time it's not, because yesterday in Austria was Mother's Day and all sorts. I was like, spending time with the family and that. And by the time I got home, I was like, nah, let me just do the stream tomorrow. And a lot of important news, or not important news, but a lot of interesting news has come out. So, there's a lot to discuss. Ladies and gentlemen, I hear a lot of people coming in here. LC giving us away. Fernando watching from France. Benjamin watching from Italy. Big up yourself. Theo Samuel saying, thoughts on Malang Sarr for next year? That's interesting question, really, mate, because it's tough to call for me personally, because I'm like, well, I don't know. He's kind of played a little bit at the start of the season. Not sure about very recently, but it's around when we played him in the Champions League, he wasn't really getting many minutes. And personally, I think we always signed him with the intention of selling him eventually for a profit. I think that was always the idea of why we signed the guy. But hey, again, you just don't know, do you? You just don't know what the reason for things was. And I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. Let me just go check if I can see anything here. Nope, I cannot. Ladies and gentlemen, put it in the chat, not just where you're from, but also how you do it, because there's a lot to discuss. I want to go through the Man City game. I want to go through, of course, the news about the Champions League final. I want to go through, as in terms of it being relocated. I want to talk about, Tuchel versus Guardiola and this whole game in terms of the Champions League final for Tomori yesterday. There's a lot to discuss, and how close Chelsea actually are to top four at this point, because I didn't actually realize that how little points we actually needed from this point onwards. Yes, Daniel Guay did sign a contract extension, or rather Chelsea took the option of, extending his contract by a year, which was a clause in his contract. Thoughts on Sarr? Are you trying to bait me here? Thoughts on this player? I'm not sure if you're trying to bait me. I can't see it, but maybe you are. Apparently we're linked with him. I won't lie to you, bro. If this is a genuine player, never heard of him in my life. I do apologize. Adarsh saying, do you think Salah would fit into the system? I don't know who he'd start over next season. I mean, I've tweeted it already. We discussed it the other day. I personally don't want Salah for various reasons. I think he's taken the piss out of Chelsea way too many times. And I don't like him. I don't like divers, and he's a diver, so I don't really want him at the club. I know he'd do well, but I don't really want it. LC putting in here, not related to City, but I'm very excited for Saturday, bro. So am I. I'm very excited. We have a comment here by Kizar saying, all our fellow supporters of the team, we're just going to win the Champions League in the near future. Big up yourself, Kizar. Big up yourself. What is your thoughts about Tammy? Well, that's a question that's going to open a whole big can of worms, because Tammy Abraham, I mean, he's going to leave in the summer. That's certainly what it looks like, right, at the moment. I like Tammy. I like him a lot. I think there's a much better striker in there than people give him credit for. But it's just not going to happen. I think we just have to accept at this point that it's not going to happen and work out for Tammy Abraham at Chelsea, sadly. If his ambition is to start regularly. See, if Tammy would be absolutely fine being a bench player, being second choice striker, I'd love to have him around long term, and I'd love for him to stay, even if we sign a striker like Lukaku or Haaland in the summer. But if he wants to start, then Chelsea's probably not going to be the way. It's not bait. I appreciate it. Now, honestly, I have no idea who he is. I do apologize, Nims. Bags a lot. Fair enough. But it was a Russian report. Well, I don't speak Russian, so you can let me off. Lewis saying, would you go for Lewandowski? Well, of course I would. Lewandowski is the best striker in the world. By far the best out-and-out striker in the world, and arguably the second best player in the world at this moment in time, right? So, of course, but it's not going to happen. I mean, he's not going to leave Bayern Munich. Definitely not. Are we getting Rice? I doubt it, but we'll see. Theo saying, we have the budget. Lewandowski, Kane, or Haaland. Who are you picking? That's a tough one. Because Lewandowski is approaching the end of his prime. Harry Kane is right in the middle of his prime, but he's at Tottenham. And Erling Haaland is at the start of his prime and probably, well, will he be quite as good as Lewandowski one day? Maybe. But he will have a longer time of being at that level or just below that level, in my personal opinion, right? It's a good question, Theo. It's a really good question, but I don't know how to answer it. Because you're saying we have the budget, right? So you're probably ignoring the fact that Daniel Levy from Tottenham would never sell Harry Kane to us. I would probably pick Kane. Probably. But I'm unsure. I just got a message here saying, all right, well, Tammy will only be joining us for a minute or two at the max, but I still don't really know what's going on with Con. I hope he's joining us very soon. But hey, let's move up. Let's move up. Mohammed here with a comment saying, good player. Will do well for another club. Presume that's about Tammy. Ardash, obviously, seemingly somewhat a Ferrari fan at least. I'm saying thoughts on Charles in a Ferrari versus Bottas in a Merc. Well, he wasn't better or faster, but it's just impossible to overtake in Barcelona. But obviously, the move in turn 3 was brilliant. So big up Charles. But I think good by Ferrari that they didn't even focus about Bottas. That would have gone badly, and who knows how those tires would have gone off at the end. So like this, we secured a solid top 4 finish. I was very pleased. Reece James to start in the Champions League final. Interesting. I don't know. Well, first of all, what we'll need to find out tomorrow in Thomas Tuchel's press conference is how bad Andreas Christensen's injury is. Because if Christensen's injured for the final, he could be. I'm pretty sure that Aspie starts centre-back and restarts right wing-back. But if Christensen is fit, I don't know. We need cover back for the Champions League final. We need him, but I wouldn't start him. But I want him to be on the bench. I want him to come off on the bench. Thoughts on Mbuyamba for our future Virgil van Dijk. I mean, good player. I've watched one half that he's played for the youth setup recently, but not much, right? Good player, certainly a lot of talent in there. So let's see how we go. Let's see how we go moving forward, I suppose. There's someone in there. But it's a tad early to call. Benjamin with the question. I'm very fascinated. Benjamin Daniel is your name, and I swear you said earlier you watch it from Italy. So that's interesting. But fair dues, bro. Do we still need a DM? Well, it all depends on the system. If we keep playing this system, no, I don't think we need it. But if we want to play a midfield, a back 4, then I do believe so, if that makes sense. Another Daniel here with the question, if we sign Haaland for 150 million plus, would you expect him to start off all guns blazing or give him a little while to adapt? Well, it doesn't really matter how much we sign him for. It doesn't really affect how he's played. I mean, maybe a little bit in terms of pressure, but not really. I don't see him as the guy that's going to crumble under the pressure of his price tag. So regardless of how much we'd possibly sign him for, I think it starts off all guns blazing, but not fully all guns blazing. But it'd start well. That'd be my opinion. Nim's here with the question, are you nervous for the Champions League final? It's a Champions League final. Of course I'm nervous. I'm confident, but I'm still nervous. Like, we have to be honest with ourselves, right? We have to be honest. Not a Ferrari fan. Okay, there you go. Just appreciating how good Charles is. Yeah, so he is. Or Charles, Let's be proper with the French pronunciation. But further, he's not a Ferrari fan. I'm a Ferrari fan. Think we've gotten under Pep's skin? Yes, I do. I think we've gotten so deep under Pep's skin, it's crawling backwards all the way home to Spain. Man's not having it at all. I mean, before this season, before with Chelsea, Tuchel hasn't beaten Pep Guardiola in 5 attempts. But obviously 2 of those were with Mainz, so obviously a far inferior team, right? And then 3 times with Dortmund, twice in the league, and once in a cup final, which they lost on penalties, and one of the league games they drew. Or did they drew both? Did he draw both games with them by Dortmund? I'm not actually sure. But now he beats him obviously in the FA Cup semi-final. He beat him the other day on Saturday. Even though Pep turned up and mirrored our formation to some extent. So Pep was already adapting to us, and it took Thomas Tuchel 20 minutes to sort that out. And then by half-time, we were a better team again. So they're a bit all over the shop. Kizar saying, what do you think, what do you have to say about Chelsea's future? What trophies are we going to get? What's going to be our future lineup and stuff? Well, that's a very difficult question to talk about and discuss, really, mate. What do you have to say about Chelsea's future, bro? Well, trophy. I mean, how far are you talking? You know, kind of keep going in further down. There's a future lineup, in my opinion. 3 years. Well, okay, 3 years you're talking. What trophies are we going to get? But in the next 3 years, we're going to win the Premier League at least once. We're going to hopefully win the Champions League. And the lineup, that's too tough. That's too much of a deep dive that I don't really want to get into just yet. Man City doesn't have players as tall as Real Madrid, so we can play 2 tall centre-backs instead of 3. No, 100%. It's also just a defensive shape that it's more comfortable for us with 3 actual centre-backs against good teams with pace. That's more what it's about. The better the team, the more Thomas Tuchel likes to do that at the back. Kevin James, interesting name. Left back position is interesting. Alonso and Emerson both leaving. Need a backup to Chile or promote Martin. I don't think both Alonso and Emerson are leaving. I think one of them is leaving, not both of them. But if both of them are leaving, we need a backup. I don't think Martin is quite ready to be the backup. Should we get Ronaldo? No. Simple answer. Thoughts on the Sancho transfer? He's a baller. I mean, of course, I take Jadon Sancho. He's a brilliant player. Lovely guy as well. Well, from the looks of things, right? Don't know him, but lovely guy, sure. But I don't really think we need a winger. Like not a winger of that money. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would like to get a winger, but not a winger that's going to make Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, Ziyech, whatever, start even less games, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I mean. What I meant was, do you think there would be more fan pressure for him to do well over the time Werner is getting because his price tag is 3 times more than Werner? Okay. Interesting point, Daniel. Interesting point. Of course, there would be pressure, but I think he wouldn't be as bad for as long of a period of time as Timo Werner was this season. I don't think that would happen with Erling Haaland. What will be a starting 11 for the Chelsea Champions League final? I'm honestly a bit confused what Connie's at, bro. I have no idea what's happening. Then we message him again, but hey, if he doesn't turn up, we're going to do the stream by ourselves today. We're going to have a laugh, right? We're going to have a laugh. What will be your starting 11 for the Champions League final? Presuming everybody is fit, right? Mendy in goal, obviously. Thiago Silva and Rudiger, obviously. I think Aspie will do a job. Aspie, I know it's harsh on Christensen, but Aspie, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic comes on, depending on scoreline, if that makes sense. And I saw this question on Twitter earlier. Very interesting, very difficult for me. Realistically, at this point, we know, not even just my lineup, but we know that Tuchel is going to start Mount and Werner against City. We know that, right? Unless something drastic happens by that point. Who is the other one? Is it Havertz or is it Pulisic? Because that's the question, really, isn't it? I would probably start Havertz and bring Pulisic on because Pulisic brings so much off the bench, which Havertz doesn't. So if we have to start Werner, I would start Havertz and only bring Pulisic off the bench. I know people don't like that, but it's honestly my thoughts. You think that game mattered? I think that game mattered a lot. I think the game mattered a lot. First of all, for our top 4. I don't really know, whether I want to get into all of these things without Con now, or whether, I'm waiting for him or not. Let me just get into it. Yes, I do think it matters a lot because Chelsea now, ladies and gentlemen, listen to this. Chelsea now only need 4 points, 4 from our remaining 3 games, which obviously are against Arsenal on Wednesday. We're doing a preview tomorrow with Babs and maybe Lewis or whatever. We'll see. I haven't really figured out if I'm getting anybody else on a preview, but we're doing it with Babs. So definitely tune in for that and get subscribed. And one other thing I've got to say is the game mattered a lot in terms of, like I said, I lost completely my train of thought. I do apologize. So we just need 4 more points from 3 games. Obviously, Arsenal, then Leicester in the cup final, not a league game. Leicester next Tuesday in the league, and then Aston Villa. So if we beat Arsenal, we need just 1 more point. Of course, we first have to go and actually beat Arsenal. But if we do beat Arsenal, we just need 1 more point. So it's big. It's absolutely ginormous, the fact that we beat Man City. And it's also big, I think, for the Champions League final. Ladies and gentlemen, just quickly, if you're watching this right now, whether you're watching this live or later on when this live stream has turned into a video, I would love it if you could subscribe. We're just over 200 subscribers away from the big
big 10,000. It would honestly mean the world to me if you could hit that as soon as possible. So if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. Smash that big red subscribe button underneath. That'd be honestly absolutely fantastic. Smash the like button as well. The color is blue. Blue is the color, like the flag is back there. That's what we want, and that's the color the like button turns into if you click it. So go do that. Obviously, if you want to support the channel, if you want to make sure that I discuss, your comments or whatever, because more and more are in there, and I can't pick every one of them. Use the super chat function. That'd be massively appreciated. Or become a member. That, of course, is an option as well. And just quickly, as some of you might know from the last few streams, I am this month sponsored by OneFootball. So, of course, download the app with the link down in the description below, and let me just quickly play a clip for you and listen to what I have to tell you. I want to say a massive thank you to OneFootball for partnering up with me and sponsoring my channel. Like the name suggests, it's a football app. And trust me, it's one of the best ones out there. You get all the latest football news from pretty much every single team and league all around the world. Team news, live score updates, league tables, fixture lists, everything you could possibly want to know in the world of football, you find it right there. Never want to miss out on any news surrounding Chelsea again? OneFootball has got you covered. As you can see on screen now, all the news is all there in one place, whether it's the latest injury news, articles before and after games, or of course, transfer rumors. And with the transfer window actually opening and coming up soon, as well, you'll definitely want to make use of that transfer indicator, which not only tells you about all the rumors out there, it also tells you how likely a certain transfer actually is to happen, which is definitely quite handy during a very busy transfer window, which could be on the horizon for Chelsea. And like I said, it's honestly a brilliant app that I can only recommend downloading with the link down in the description below. And downloading the app with my link also really helps out my channel. And I want to say it again, I really appreciate them sponsoring me. And like I just said, it's a brilliant app that everyone should have on their phone. And all it takes is literally a few seconds to click that link down in the description below. Doesn't matter whether you're an iPhone or Android. I download the app right there with that link. So again, go down below into the description and download the OneFootball app with my link right now. So like I said, first of all, I just read this comment by Kazar here. Big up yourself, Kazar. I appreciate you a lot. I appreciate comments like that. Obviously, Clutch, I saw your message on Twitter a minute ago. Con just texted me he should be coming on any second now. Well, he said he's coming on, so I presume that any second now. No, Shard, it's not a YouTube video, just the OneFootball promotional clip, because then I could do the edit and stuff, which is obviously better. But how you doing? How you feeling about us beating you twice over? Losing any confidence for the final? How you doing about that? Let me know. That'd be interesting. Comment of appreciation here. Again, appreciate you. This Chelsea team is very strong. Yes, it is very strong for us. It is very strong. We are absolutely on smoke. We're on proper smoke. Pulisic is very threatening against tired legs. That's the point. I would be worried about Liverpool for the title next season if they get no Europe or Europa League, bro. I mean, yes, if they get no Europe or Europa League, but they're at the moment looking more, well, they have a game in hand, right? So if they win that, they're fifth. And Leicester, if we beat Leicester, Liverpool win their games. Liverpool make top four. So, I wouldn't be too convinced about that at the moment. What should be the lineup against Arsenal? We will do an Arsenal preview tomorrow. Let's not get ahead of ourselves for the time being. Fahim saying, do you think Leicester will focus more on top four rather than the FA Cup final? No, I think they will focus on the FA Cup final, not top four personally. But we'll see. Hi, Laurenz. Hello, your name. Keleko. I'm going to call you by your surname because I'm going to butcher your first name and I will feel really bad because I don't want to feel really bad. Thoughts on James' position change to midfield? Long term, maybe an option, but for that to happen, we need to buy a right back. So not really, if that makes sense. Tell them to destroy the like button. Destroy the like button right now. Destroy it. But don't destroy your phone because otherwise you can't watch me tomorrow. So that's silly. But, just click it really hard, because you need to destroy it. I don't really think we need Rice either. Hey, we'll see. Love me some Con. I mean, I do too. I just hope he actually turns up soon. Daniel here with the comment. Don't see us get Rice. It would be shaming to us to buy an ex-academy player back for 80 million. Marina and co. have big egos and attitudes, so wouldn't let themselves take the L by buying him. I agree. That is the reason why we're unlikely to buy him. I think if that wasn't the scenario, we would have long bought him. But at the same time, would he be as much of a Chelsea fan and he wouldn't be mates with Mason Mount had he not been at Chelsea already and we sold him? So it's a tough one. I suppose. Honestly, Adash, again, appreciate the comments. Honestly, one dark horse for starting lineup for starting the Champions League final is Ziyech. Ziyech and Werner have great connection on the counter, to be fair. That's you're 100% true. You're 100% true. You're 100% correct. No, you really are, mate. Tough to call for me personally. Tough to call because, I mean, you make a good point, but I just see it as unlikely. Do you know what I mean? I just see it as unlikely. Shardlight saying, I'm feeling nervous. Apparently, the Champions League final will be in England. Well, we'll see. We'll discuss that. I just want to get on. I just want to wait for Con. There he is. There he is. He's joined. Put a message in the private chat, Con, if you're already ready or if you're still setting up, because I can't fully hear. And then I will get to Con about this whole Champions League final relocation waffle. We will talk about that. And as before we get onto that, Kizar asked thoughts on Haaland. Con has told me that he's ready, which is brilliant. Thoughts on Erling Haaland. Tough one, but he's absolutely brilliant. The power in that left foot is ridiculous. He doesn't really have a right foot, which is sadly a problem that a lot of left-footed players have. But his size, his pace, his physique, his energy, his finishing on his left foot at least is absolutely brilliant. But we are now joined by Mr. ConnCFC. You don't need to apologize. You might have been late, but we had a good time, to be honest, so far. We had a good time. Just been answering some random ass questions, to be honest, but I had a good laugh. Con, how you doing? And even though it's a day after, well, 2 days after, but a day after this stream usually would have happened, how are you still feeling about us beating Man City, bro?
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late, Laurenz. I took a bit of a nap.
There you go. Oh, good.
I was watching some sort of boxing documentary and I just fell asleep. So my bad there. No, I'm still happy against Man City. I told you about that curse. Well, not curse, I suppose it's a good thing Pies has when he says we're going to maybe lose on stream. And then when I'm with him on stream and he says like we're going to lose and Chelsea always win. So that's another time it's happened. So love Pies for that.
I'm bringing both of you on for the final preview.
I love Pies for that. But yeah, it's like a game that I didn't really mind losing. Like, obviously I wanted to win it, but I could have took a loss there. So when Marcos Alonso, it had to be Alonso as well after everything we said about him the day before. But yeah, I was over the moon. I couldn't believe it.
Honestly, it was crazy, wasn't it? Like the first 10 minutes, we've clearly struggled with their setup, with their lineup, with playing almost a 3-3-1 formation, if you want to be super detailed about it. We struggled with it first 10, 15 minutes. Then it got better. It was kind of end-to-end for the first half until the last 5 minutes. And Christensen had an absolute howler. And then obviously the whole penalty thing. But second half, we dominated them. Left, right, and centre, didn't we?
No, we did. That second half against City was ridiculously good. One of our best second halves, I'd say. Like,
good shout.
We came out.
No,
yeah.
very good.
We came out
Madrid, probably. Down Madrid.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree. And I think Gilmore as well, he really stepped up that second half. Because the first half, I was like, same with Reece James. I was like, but then the second half, and it was just a fantastic. Besides that Asuma tackle, which maybe could have been a pen, if we're being honest, I think it was a faultless second half.
I agree. I mean, and this is not, before anyone gets on my back again, this is not Kante slander or Jorginho praise for no reason. But I do think once Jorginho came on for Kante, Gilmore took another step. I don't know whether Gilmore feels maybe a bit more comfortable with Jorginho because they're more similar type of players. He feels like he knows what Jorginho is going to do more than Kante, maybe, but he just seemed more confident and comfortable. So, I was very happy with Billy overall.
Same here. And now I agree with you there, Laurenz. I spoke about that with my mate when Jorginho came on. Gilmore looked so much better. I think that's just because he was allowed to sort of venture a bit more because obviously Jorginho's that better holder than Kante is. And Kante will go out, he'll try to press. And Kante, he just loves being everywhere, doesn't he? So I think with Jorginho coming on, it gives Gilmore the license to be a bit more mobile and run around the pitch a bit more. And Jorginho, again, like I think people really in this fan base need to start appreciating the player he is. Yeah. Because I think that substitution totally cancelled out Gundogan and Foden's substitution, to be honest.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because that was kind of that 10-minute period. I know it was only 5 minutes after we scored, but straight after we scored, they made that sub, right? And we was kind of losing it a little bit again, the whole battle. And Georgie comes on, and it's kind of
all calm again. And he's honestly brilliant how he can have that impact both from the start and from the bench. And before I get to you about talking about some refereeing decisions, because I want your thoughts, I saw a few of your tweets, but let's discuss it. Yusuf obviously saying here, but Pep wants revenge. And because he wants revenge, and I'm very sure that he really wants revenge, that's exactly why I think we've got under his skin and why we've got one over on them. That's important for the final, because he will try. I think this win will be part of the reason why he overthinks it for the final. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have a good chance of beating them.
No, I think I agree with that as well. I think Man City fans are clinging on to the fact that they made a lot of substitutions that game. Well, not substitutions, but a lot of changes. But I think so did Chelsea, We didn't play Mount, Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell, the list goes on. And, Pep, he does overthink Champions League. We've seen it against Lyon. I didn't know what he was doing that game, but I think he hasn't really got Tuchel's number yet. He hasn't really figured him out. And I don't know, on paper, I suppose, what system we're going to play, But when you actually play it, I think Atleti, Real Madrid are obviously proof of that. When it comes to playing us, even when you've played us before in this system, it's not easy to break us down. It's not easy to score goals. And it's frightening for other teams how quickly we hit them on counter. Like in transition, we are absolutely electric.
No, I couldn't agree more, mate. I could not agree more. And we do seem to have a number on them. And like I said, he tried something different that worked for the first 20 minutes especially. And then he kind of started to work less and less. And by halftime, Tuchel found a way to completely counteract it. And we were the better side. Obviously, they had this, like you touched on, the Zuma Sterling penalty moment, which could have swung it back round to City's favour. But at the end of the day, we deserved to win in the second half, because I think, obviously, there was a crazy last 5 minutes of the first half. But overall, I think that first half had 0-0 written all over it. Like Tuchel kept saying, that was a first half that deserved the draw. And in the second half, I think we deserved to win the second half, if that makes sense. So I suppose, and like Jester says here, I mean, obviously, a few Foden, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Walker, those are big ones that will start the final. Very big ones, right? But they are talking about Rodri as if Rodri doesn't usually play, and everyone wasn't surprised by the fact that Fernandinho played against PSG. So Rodri is their usual starter. Even if it was 9 changes, Rodri is their usual starter. So is Ruben Diaz. And whether it's Laporte or John Stones, I know John Stones has had a good season, but they don't take that much from each other, right? So let's not pretend that that's now awful, because Laporte is a brilliant player. Mendy, sure, but will they instead play Cancelo left back? Will they play Zinchenko left back? Would that be such a big difference? We'll see about that, boys. We'll see about that. So for me, it's 4 big differences from their starting 11 that they didn't have yesterday. But how many big ones did we have? Right? Think about it. Jorginho, Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, Pulisic. Okay, sometimes Kai Havertz and Pulisic don't start together, so I suppose you can make a case that way. And Ben Chilwell. So it's either 4 or 5. So it's like we're equally as far away from our best starting 11 as they were. And we had to make a sub and take one of our best defenders so far this season out for Zuma. So if anything, we were further away in the second half from our strongest team than they were. So I don't really know what they're waffling about, to be honest.
No, I agree with you there, Laurenz. And I think you forgot one name as well, Kovacic, obviously injured. And he's massive for Chelsea.
I forgot about him,
Hence why Gilmour was playing. So John Stones for Laporte, I don't see that making much of a difference, to be honest, because if I'm not wrong, Man City fans were calling him one of the best centre-backs in the world last season. So I don't know what that's about. Zinchenko actually came on in that second half and nothing changed. They brought on Gundogan and Foden. Nothing changed. And in the FA Cup final as well, I see them saying about the B team there, but Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden both played in that game.
Yeah, I mean, Foden only came on, but still.
He still had 45 minutes. We saw Hudson-Odoi, what he did in less than 15 when he came on against City the other day. So
we saw what Pulisic did against Madrid in 20 minutes.
Exactly. So for a player of them standards, a half is more than long enough, So
he didn't play a half. He came on for De Bruyne in the second half, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think he came on around the 50th minute. So it's basically a half.
Yeah, it was in the true. No, I can't remember what minute it was. I just remember at some point in the second half, if that makes sense. Yeah, no, it's true. But I suppose with that said, and kind of touching on something that a minute ago, let me see where the comment was by Jester anyway, that Sterling shouldn't even have been on the pitch. A lot of people believe that. Con, I think you believe that. What are your thoughts on that? Should Sterling have been sent off?
Yes, he should have been sent off. That was a dangerous tackle. He clearly goes over the ball there, and it's horrible. Them sort of tackles can really injure a player. Stud showing, it was a stupid tackle from Sterling, and you just know when someone like Gary Neville, right, who's not a massive fan of Chelsea, but when you're watching it back, and he's seeing it back for the first time,
he's even less of a fan of Man City, to be fair.
Because like at first he was like, "Oh, that was a stupid challenge, yellow card." And he's like, he watched it back, he's like, "Oh, he could be in trouble here." It's like that initial reaction is like what all of us had. He could be in trouble here, and he should have been sent off. So I think that cancels out the penalty. Because personally, if you're going to ask me, I think Suma fouls in there. I think he was really clumsy there, but Sterling should be on the pitch. So I'd say that balances it out. To be honest.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Like, I've had a lot of debates with people over the last few weeks about what are penalties, what are fouls, what are red cards. It seems like I'm just more lenient on these things than a lot of people, because I didn't think we should have had a penalty for the push on Chilwell in the first leg. I don't think that's enough for a pen for me. I think you can certainly send Sterling off, but I don't think it's stone wall for me, because I think it's more unfortunate than malicious. And I don't, like, if it was our player and I know you accidentally hit him with your studs in the like lower leg, I know for a fact he didn't mean that, and I would be always annoyed if our players get sent off for it, because I'm like, it was just an accident, and I think that was what it was for Sterling.
Yeah. To be honest, Laurenz, I think it's one of them. You know, for the Sumo incident and that, it's one where if Sterling doesn't get sent off, you're like, he's kind of lucky not to. But you're not really, unless it really affects the game, you're not really going to get too angry about it. And with the penalty as well, where if it's not given, you're not screaming on your head off thinking that's a stonewall pen. It's like, okay, sort of thing, you know? It's like, if either happens, you can kind of see why, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I completely agree. If Sterling gets sent off, I'm not sat here saying, it should have never been a red card, 100%. But I think Chelsea fans, lost their head a little bit too much. And if it was any referee other than Anthony Taylor, they wouldn't have had such a problem with it not being a red card, in my opinion. Even though it sounds maybe a little bit silly. And the Billy penalty, it's one of those. I said this before in a few streams after this game. I never think these things should be fouls, but they always are fouls, so I just accept, fair enough. Do you know what I mean? But if I actually think about it, I'm like, he tries to roll the ball over, misses it, and then kind of just jumps into Billy. I'm like, it's harsh to give a penalty for it, but it's like, I made this comparison a few times already. If an attacker and a defender run, and the attacker crosses the defender, and then he clips his heels, it's always given as a foul too, even though the defender can literally do not a single thing about it, because the attacker crosses his feet, crosses his path. What's the defender going to do? Stop in still stand within the space of half a second. It's physically impossible. So he can't not clip his heels, but they're still always given as fouls. And no commentator, no expert ever says they're not fouls. So and essentially that's the same thing that happened with Billy. And the Zuma one, it's weird. For me, the Billy one's more a penalty than the Zuma one, because I think the Zuma one just looks really bad just because Zuma is so much bigger. Because I keep reiterating this point, and I keep thinking, whenever I make this argument, I think back to school days when I had this guy in my school called Robert, who used to play football when he was younger and then changed to basketball because he didn't like touching people. Not in a weird way, just, I don't know whether he was a bit of a germaphobe or whatever. Good guy. But he was like, basketball is a non-contact sport, so you're not allowed to touch each other, so he preferred that. And then I think about when people talk about, for the tiniest of touches, they talk about fouls in football. I'm like, no. Football is a contact sport. Just because there is a tiny contact doesn't mean something is a foul. Like, there's a big difference between, yes, there was contact between Zuma and Sterling, but they were, in my opinion, not enough to be a foul for me. I mean, it's a bit like the Sterling one. If a pen's given, I'm not saying outrageous decision, but I think a lot of people have said the Billy one isn't one and the Zuma one is, and I personally see that slightly the opposite way around. But how do you see that the Billy one?
I watched it back like 3 or 4 times. I don't see how it's a pen, to be honest. I'm really struggling to see where's the contact. I know they said something about the knee, but it was so soft. That was a hard
contact for Billy.
Yeah, I know he put his hand on him, but where was the other contact? Because that's not enough contact to go down.
I think, didn't they touch like knees? But my argument against the penalty would be that Jesus kind of jumped into Billy, and Billy couldn't do anything about it. But for me, there was a lot of contact for me. But maybe I need to watch it back.
Like, because when I watched it, like, I just didn't see enough for a penalty. I don't see how that's given as a penalty. Like, you don't even see stuff like that given as free kicks majority of the time. So seeing that given as a penalty, I was like, really? Like, and the most annoying thing about it was like, it was down to 10 men at the time. And I was like, why couldn't Suma be on the pitch? Like, that frustrated me. But Aguero really did make a mess of that, didn't he? Oh my God.
He did. That's so funny. Did you hear what Michael Owen said after the game? He's like, I don't understand why he's apologising. I'm like, let's go on, Michael. I think that's funny. And just to reply to Jester's comment here, I didn't really notice that moment. But because I know you said that in the player ratings already, and I didn't really get into it because I didn't really notice it, so I couldn't really talk about it. But if this was in the 90th minute, I'm bloody happy it didn't happen, because I guarantee if they go down to 10, they sit back and we don't make the 2-1. So if you want to win the game, it's good that he didn't get sent off, because they sit back, they are much more compact than they were for the last 2 minutes the way we scored, and we probably don't win 2-1. So, with that said, if that was actually the 90th minute, like you say, I much prefer that he wasn't sent off, if that makes sense.
If I'm being honest, Lawrence, I didn't even see it.
No, neither did I. I feel like Jester's the only one. He's the only one I've ever seen mention this so far. But fair news, maybe Jester just got better eyes than all of us, so who knows?
Like, when I spoke about the Sterling one on Twitter, a few people said about Jesus one on Pulisic as well. And I watched the highlights back, but I still didn't see. Well, it obviously wasn't included in the highlights. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it, to be honest.
Yeah, fair dues. It's the same. But like I said, for me, I think if it wasn't Anthony Taylor that's the referee, no one would really make a big fuss about all of the decisions yesterday. But and partly why I think, because Pep lost his mind there, because Sterling can certainly be sent off. But also, the Zuma on Sterling can be a penalty. But I don't think you can sit there in the post-match interview like he was. It's a penalty. That's the only comment I have. That was an awful Spanish impression. I do apologize. But, let's ignore that. You can't talk about that and sit there like that when the other guy could have equally as much, arguably more definitely been sent off than that was a penalty. So that literal guy that was fouled, plus the guy that put you 1-0 up. So you can really not talk Pep, which is, again, partly why Tuchel is becoming Guardiola's arch nemesis, and Pep cannot handle it and is running scared, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think his reaction weren't just for the penalty either, Laurenz. Like, I don't think that reaction was just because he didn't get the pen. I think it's because he lost to Tuchel again, to be honest.
And I also think he was super pissed off at Aguero.
Let's be honest, as much as Aguero is stupid for doing it, he's every right to try something like that, He's City's greatest player.
Yeah, but I think if you don't play much, and he hasn't played much recently, to then, like, if he starts every week, I think that's fair. But if you only play like every 5 games, which kind of it is at the moment, I know he played Palace the other week, but he doesn't play a lot. And to then try that, I think that's a bit ridiculous, honestly, because the risk of it not working out is just too high. Like, the risk versus reward is just not worth it for me in that position. But hey, I mean, up to him in it. And Adash, appreciate you. Take care. But the next few things that I want to talk about, because I don't want to get too hung up on just the game itself, because again, I left the day in between because it was Mother's Day in Austria yesterday and all of that. I want to discuss a few other things. Now, like I said, we talking about the final and stuff. I have a few interesting questions that I saw on Twitter over the time that I want to actually kind of discuss with you, because I think they actually lead to an interesting debate. Now, first of all, we touched on it already slightly, why I think it could give us an edge for the final. We'll discuss the final relocation, whatever, in a minute too. I have 2 questions for you. Presuming, the way we know Tuchel at this point, Werner and Mount are guaranteed, unless they're injured, obviously, are guaranteed to start as part of the front 3 in the final. Whether we would pick Werner or not doesn't really matter. Tuchel will. But then the big question is, who is your third in the front 3? Is it Ziyech, is it Havertz, or is it Pulisic? I think it's so tough to decide.
It is, and I was on the Twitter space earlier, and someone said the exact same thing on how hard it will be to pick that last person. I would go with Ziyech,
Really?
just for the point he scored 2 goals against them. Like, I think he's earned that right to start that game. Ideally, I'd want to see a Pulisic, Mount, Havertz front 3. I love that front 3, but Werner against Man City.
But that doesn't have Ziyech in it either.
Huh?
But that doesn't have Ziyech in it either.
I know, but I think that's our most fluent front three. So that's the thing with Chelsea's like front three. Like,
I agree.
like I love that front three. So that if I could pick a front three, it'd be that one for most games.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna play Werner, I think starting Ziyech could be good. Could be good.
Okay, because like Ziyech and Werner obviously work well together usually. That's a fair point, to be honest. I think I 100% agree that's our best front three for the average game, but I think against a team like City, I think Werner actually has to start for me because he gives us something that none of the others do, and I think that's something that is important to beat City.
Yeah.
I would personally, I'm surprised at the Ziyech one because I was just really debating it for Havertz and Pulisic. Obviously, make a very good point with the 2 goals. Should have been 3. Obviously, should have made it 2-0 in the cup semi. It's an interesting one because obviously there was a lot of debate about Ziyech after the game. He was average, let's say, other than the goal. People said poor. I disagree with that.
I think that's harsh because I think he was better than Werner and Pulisic. To be honest, I think he was our best attacker the other day.
I think it was better than Pulisic, not than Werner.
I think Werner stunk up the pitch, to be honest, until he got that assist.
I know, and I know it's weird, and I've almost kind of 180'd my opinions on Werner the last 2 weeks, but for me, it's like, I know it pissed me off that he was offside all the time. I know there was poor touches in there, but I'm like, if he doesn't make those runs, all of our attacking system doesn't even work. So we can criticize that he doesn't do certain things, but no one will do what he does in terms of creating that space. And if we don't have that space, the likes of Ziyech can't even do anything. So without Werner making those runs, Ziyech can't even play half as well as he did, if you get me. So that's why. Do you know what I mean? Maybe, I'm not sure whether he's always done it and I've underappreciated it, or whether I'm overappreciating it now. I don't really know. I'm just telling you what I think. But, I mean, fair dues. I think Pulisic was kind of poor, if not very poor, until the last 20. Then he came good all of a sudden. But I think before that was kind of dreadful. And Ziyech was decent, I would say, plus scored. It's an interesting call for you to start Ziyech. Like I said, I would have gone Kai and then bring Pulisic on, exactly like we did against Madrid. Because I think the amount of havoc Pulisic can cause when he comes on is ridiculous. And I think Kai just has this smoothness that complements Werner's rawness and pace so well. And then plus you have Werner to play the 10 role, to carry the ball. Because that's partly why Pulisic wasn't great yesterday, because he doesn't have the stamina to do that role. But because Ziyech can't carry the ball, Pulisic had to do that role. So that's why he wasn't very good. But Mount will do that job very well. And I think it's just a better combination against the type of team that Man City is. But to be honest, I mean, if Ziyech starts, I would be surprised. If it's Pulisic, not Havertz, I won't be upset, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying there with Werner and what he does, then runs, and it opens up the space. But I think Ziyech yesterday, was it yesterday? No.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday, sorry. I'm a bit still dazed. But I think Ziyech, his game was underrated in general. I think he was picking up the balls in nice areas. He was actually taking a few people on. He was finding some nice passes, and if anyone looked likely to score, it was him at points. And Kai, Pulisic, Tammy, Giroud, Werner don't score that goal he scores. And that's what I love about Ziyech. He will try something like that, you know? He will try to shoot from that sort of angle. And I don't know, I can't bench a player who scored 2 games in a row against Manchester City. I just couldn't do that.
It's fair. To be honest, it's fair. I mean, I still think City, with their best team, as much as we weren't our best team, but City with their best team have too much intensity for Ziyech to work. That's why I wouldn't play Ziyech. And they didn't have that in the last 2 games we played against them, if that makes sense.
I don't know about that one, Chief.
No, I just haven't seen Ziyech work against a team with high intensity yet for us. Whenever we played a team with high intensity, it was poor because he lost the ball way too quick every time. And whenever he has space and time, then the better he becomes. But see, don't give you space and time if they're anywhere near their best, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get that. But I think if you look at Ziyech before, and especially in the Champions League, right, I don't think there's a better player at our team, maybe Kai, just maybe.
Can you look at it like a Champions League game if it's against an English team?
Well, kind of, yeah, because of the way Man City play, you know? They don't really play like your traditional English side. They've got that more European sort of style to them.
I mean, that's an interesting debate. To be honest, I quickly want to highlight this comment by Daniel Nierman here, because I think as much as we discussed and said, we also rotated, he has a bit of a point in the sense that both times we played them, they played a striker, and they're not as good with a striker. So that is something that we'll need to be careful of, which is partly why even if Christensen is fit, obviously we'll find out tomorrow how long he'll be out for roughly, but even if he is fit for the final, I would start Aspie, not Christensen, not a 3 centre-back 3, if that makes sense. Just to have a bit more mobility. That'd be my reasoning for exactly that reason.
I don't know, but the false 9 system thing, I'm not buying that from City fans, because one thing the only thing we really struggle with is when we have runners against us, right? And when there's pace on the other team. If a team wants to play in front of us and use like a false 9, because Karim Benzema was doing it at times for Madrid as well, dropping very deep, and you had the wingers going forward. I don't see how that hurts us. Playing in front of us won't hurt us at all. And it will take a stupid mistake from us or a piece of brilliant play from Man City, and I mean very brilliant play, to score. So as much as, they're not playing their best system, but even when they are, I don't see it really hurting us that much. Like, I don't see why City fans are that confident on it, you know? Like, obviously, be confident.
At the same time, if you're a City fan, it'd be weird if you're not a little confident. Like, you have to talk yourself up in a way. I see what you're saying, totally, but I feel like if you're really good at a false 9 system, like they are, everything's different. Like, obviously, usually you're 100% right. That's what we're most comfortable with. If you don't even get near us, really, then do what you want. But it's a bit like, no one is good in the false 9 system aside from Man City and Pep's Barcelona. Well, we know what they did, and we know what Man City do to everybody. So I feel like just because everybody else doesn't do anything in a false 9 against us, I feel like City could, just because they're really good at it, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, of course, that makes sense. But that still doesn't change the fact they'll still be playing a high line. It doesn't change the fact that when we're in transition, we will catch them and hurt them, as we have in the first 2 games, Like, it's not like they've played a totally different brand of football altogether,
I 100% agree. I just think for us defensively, it will be more difficult with them playing a false 9. Because really, if you think about it, of course, the penalty. But aside from that, over 2 games, they created 1 genuine chance. And that was because one of our defenders made a bad mistake.
Yeah.
They will threaten us more in the Champions League final if they play a false 9 than they did over the last 2 games. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Whether they will make use of it and score from it and win because of that, I don't know. But it will be more difficult for us. That's all I'm saying. Doesn't mean we lose. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. And didn't Man City play the false 9 against Spurs in the cup final?
Probably. I don't think Jesus started, so probably.
Like, I don't know. I'm not too impressed with that system for us, It's not like I'm saying it's a bad way they play, or etc., etc. Like, I just don't think it's really that effective against us. Obviously, they'll play a bit better, but I still don't really think it changes much in the game for them. Just because how we set up. I suppose it's more me being confident in our defence than scared of City's false 9 system.
No, I think it's totally justifiable. It's Daniel. This Daniel guy makes some interesting points here. He's saying, if Walker plays, Werner won't be as effective. Somewhat a fair shout, because Walker has some ridiculous pace.
But then wouldn't Tuchel just play Werner on the right instead of the left?
Yeah, but Werner doesn't do that good there. I mean, but I think how we stop that problem is we just need to make sure Chile or whoever, or play Werner in the middle, and whether it's Pulisic or Mount on the left, occupies Walker enough that Walker can't take care of Werner, and then we solve that problem, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and plus how far City's fullbacks push up as well. It's not like, I know Kyle Walker's quick, but to make up that distance that there's going to be at times, it's going to be a lot to ask for any fullback, So Kyle Walker is obviously...
They do that, and Walker plays in the back 3. Could do. You never know with Pep. Yeah. You never know. I said it already. Because we beat them twice, that's why they could
you know, that's why he could overthink it, and that's why it might not work. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, we have over 200 people watching. We're just over 200 subscribers away from the big 10K. So if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. Smash that big as red subscribe button underneath. Get subscribed. That'd be massively appreciated. I really want to hit that milestone. And smash that like button as well. Let me see how many likes we're on, actually. Let me see. We are on, if it updates here, 103 likes. I can't even tell you to get 100 likes. Let's get 150 likes. Do that right now, ladies and gentlemen. Smash that like button. Doesn't cost you any, barely cost you any time. Get that done. That'd be brilliant. And of course, if you want to support the channel, and if you want to make sure that we discuss your comment, please do use the super chat function. That'd be absolutely brilliant. Or become a member. You know, obviously that's always an option. The next interesting question, before again we get to the Champions League final relocation stuff, that I have for you, because I thought it was really fascinating thing to think about. Imagine, Con, I'm going to try to put you there. We play the Champions League final, no matter where it be, Istanbul, Porto, London, whoever, wherever. It's 2-2, shall we say, 1-1. We go to extra time. Nothing happens there. We go to penalties. Who are your 5 penalty takers for Chelsea? And don't overthink in terms of who will be on the pitch by then. Just who would be your 5 main penalty takers?
Kai, Jorginho, Werner.
Big call.
Yeah. Rudiger.
No Mount.
That Tottenham game, that's because I've been thinking about this, because I've heard this question.
You missed the pen in the Tottenham game?
Yeah, and the pen shootout against Tottenham. He put it wide in the shootout. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now go on. I'll let you finish your point first.
So who did I say? Kai, Timo, Rudiger. I'd go then as be a Mount. That'd be my 5.
Well, that's 6 though.
Did I say? Wait, Kai, Werner.
You said Jorginho as well.
Oh, Jorginho, yeah. And then I'll put Mount then. Put Mount.
Okay. It's interesting because what I was going to say, almost in response to Mount missing that 1 penalty, I would say Mount is the one player where I'm like, he doesn't make the same mistake twice. So the fact that he missed the last one makes me almost more confident in the fact that he'll score this one, if that makes sense. But don't make him go last. Mount has to be like 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, something like that.
Jorginho last.
Jorginho last, yeah.
See, when it comes to Champions League final penalty shootouts, like, I don't think it's necessarily who your best penalty takers are. I think it's the players with, you know, the best mentalities. Like,
yeah, 100% agree.
And that's why I put Rudiger in there, because I think he'd bury one.
It's an interesting one. I wouldn't pick Kai.
I think he's the 17 out of 17, isn't he, for pens?
Doesn't matter. You said mentality. That's not Kai for me. In my head, I could be wrong on that. And he kind of proved me wrong against Madrid with that. But 1 game isn't enough for me to believe that yet. So I would say Mount.
Yeah.
Sorry? Go on.
I said it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I would say Mount. I would say Jorginho. I haven't really thought about an order yet. Just Mount, Jorginho, Aspie, because Aspie always takes pens for some reason, always scores. So Aspie. I trust Pulisic to take a pen, you know. I'm not sure if he's ever taken pens, but he doesn't seem like someone that crumbles under pressure ever. So
no, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'll put it in mine as well. I forgot about Pulisic.
If I think about him, I'm like, Pulisic could do it. Someone put in the comments now, Chilwell. It's not a bad shout. Chilwell has good shooting technique, and he doesn't seem like the guy to bottle it. But Rudiger is a good shout as well. But with Rudiger, I'd be a bit scared with Rudiger that he skies it.
No, I think it's David Luiz kind of vibe. He runs and just puts it top bins.
No, I agree, but I'd still be scared that it's disguise it. I was scared when Luiz took that run up in Munich. I was shitting myself.
Laurenz, I promise you, it doesn't matter who's taking that penalty. If we're in a Champions League penalty shootout in the final, you're bricking it whoever steps up. I guarantee it.
No, but when I saw the run up, I was like, I was shitting myself even more.
Rudiger's running from the halfway line, right?
Imagine that he just, I don't know, tells Mendy or Caballero, whoever is in goal at that point, to put the ball down, and he just starts running from where they all stand together. And he just sprints all the way, just smacks it. Shouts to the ref, blow the whistle. That'd be brilliant. Brilliant. I mean, you make a fair point with the Kai thing, to be honest. Maybe Kai would be good for like a second pen when the pressure isn't super huge.
Well, it depends.
I really don't, because I said it a minute ago, don't give Mount the last one, but I actually think maybe I would.
Kind of like redemption sort of season. Like he doesn't.
Not even just redemption, because it's fucking Spurs in the Carabao Cup. I'm happy we didn't get further in that. We would have had even more games. It would have been even more tired. So, I'm not even too upset about that, to be honest. That's obviously, it would have been better had we not lost against Spurs. But, if you ignore who it was against, I'd rather we didn't go further, if that makes sense. Because Jorginho with that hippity hop as a fifth penalty. Oh my god, my heart would explode. Like I wouldn't see the ball go in because I'd have a heart attack before. I'm not sure why I would give Georgie the last one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying with that. Could you imagine it? That hop would seem like.
I think Georgie needs to take the first one.
What, to get us on the board?
Yeah. And I cannot, for the life of me, I think the goalkeepers are also nervous in the shootout. So I don't think the goalkeeper will have the balls to wait for his hop and not go. Yeah, so I think for the first pen, the hop will work super well. He'll go and he'll put it the other way. But the later it gets, the more, and especially if the goalie's desperate to save it, the more willing he is to take a risk. And for the first one, he probably won't, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get that. Well, Jorginho could just go and smack it in like he did against Tottenham as well.
He could do. Although when Georgie does that, to me that looks like Georgie being nervous.
Yeah. It's not like back in his technique,
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's a tough one. I would say Georgie, Kai. Initially, I didn't even pick Kai, so I don't even know anymore. Georgie, Aspie. So we get two done. Calm. Kai, third. Why not? And who was the other one I picked?
Pulisic.
I don't know if I believe in Pulisic, to be honest.
If it helps, he is the penalty taker for America.
Yeah, I saw that in the chat.
I think if it comes to like a big moment, he's someone who's dealt with big things from such a young age. I don't think he's going to.
I've just never seen him take a penalty, so it's like even if I pick him now, just because it feels so unlikely in my head that Tuchel would let him take one, that I'm not sure whether I should even say it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Can we let Tuchel take a penalty?
Kepa on, he'd score guaranteed.
Yeah, Kepa, redemption.
Yeah, like remember that pre-season game that we had against, was it Barcelona, and Courtois smacked the pen in the top corner.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant penalty, honestly. Terry was not last. You clearly only know the story of John Terry slipping. John Terry wasn't last. I don't know where it was, but I know Anelka went last and he bought it. But Anelka only went last because Drogba got sent off.
Yeah, Laurenz, I've never got that right. So I know this is a bit off topic, but why do people always sort of meme John Terry when it comes to the penalty shootout?
John Terry, that's why.
Because his penalty didn't lose us the penalty shootout.
No, Anelka's did.
Yeah, it was Anelka's, but I think that always gets forgotten, doesn't it?
Oh my God! Yes, Reece.
Oh, Reece James, yeah.
Reece is Sod Pulley. Sorry, I love you, Pulley, but Reece. Reece taking a fourth. Mount's taking a fifth.
The Cobham boys to finish it off.
Maybe I put Aspie fourth now that I'm putting Reece there. And Kai second, Reece third, Aspie fourth, Mason fifth. And I mean, people keep talking about Oliver Giroud. I know I said to ignore who's going to play, but Oliver Giroud is not going to be on the pitch, so
Yeah. That's the same reason I didn't pick him. I just don't see him.
Was Terry last of the fifth? And we were 4-1, 5-4, 4-5, 4-3 up.
Yeah, so he was our fifth penalty taker. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was. I'm very sorry, Varner. You're right. Absolutely right. True. And which one was that? Was Anelka 6th or 7th. Or 8th.
Was he 7th? I don't think they missed 2 in a row, did they? Trying to cast my memory.
No, but we both scored the 6th, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or did he already miss on the 6th? I can't remember it.
I think it's.
I literally blocked it out of my memory. He said Varna said 8th. He seems to know, so fair dues.
Let's go final.
Ask me to do it, Terry. Nah. Yeah, to be fair, they reminded me now. That's why people take the piss out of Terry. Could have won the cup, but he, effed it up because he slipped. If he scored, we would have won. So he didn't lose it, but he stopped us from winning, if that makes sense, the slip.
Yeah.
Well, now people are saying, I know 8th, then no 7th. Well, now I don't know anymore. Can Ziyech take pens? It's a fair shout. Ziyech doesn't look like he, doesn't have the bottle for it. But at the same time, I'm not sure whether he would have enough bottle for it, if that makes sense. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, as in, would he be focused enough?
I think he'd have a great technique, and I think he's got the arrogance about him, isn't he? Like, where... But then I could see him doing like a sort of stupid, like, one-step penalty, and it's poor, right? And like the keeper says it fees.
To be fair, Drogba won us the Champions League with the one-step penalty, but yeah.
Yeah, but Drogba's Drogba. Do you know what I mean? Drogba can do what he wants.
Drogba's Drogba, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with those 5. I'm gonna go with Georgie, Kai, Reece, Aspie, Mount. Those are gonna be my 5.
Nice 5.
Yeah. I think I did the thing that Con, exposed last time where I just have a debate with myself.
Yeah. It's brilliant though, I love it.
It's literally what I do. And I suppose one of the other things that I want to discuss is the whole Champions League final relocation thing that's going on at the moment. Because obviously Istanbul, Turkey are in a tough situation in terms of the virus, right? They're not in a good situation. They've been put on the UK travel red list or whatever. But there's also been like some sort of, not conspiracy, but thoughts that, the UK might not have done that if there wasn't a Champions League final there. And the only reason they did that is to try and get the Champions League final to England, because revenue-wise, even for the country, that's a big thing. It's not just about, we're being nice to the Chelsea players and City players and to the fans. I think this is more about making money, personally. And that's why I think Turkey has been put on the red list. I don't think they would have done otherwise, personally. Well, maybe they would have been right now, but I think they would not be on the red list anymore by the time we play the final, because they won't be in a lockdown anymore by the time we play the final, unless they extend it, which they might do. But for the time being, true. I give my girlfriend some credit for that. Fair dues. She said it initially, then she read it somewhere, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So, I wouldn't be surprised if that's why the UK did it. But just to finish kind of the news part of this before we discuss it, there's been talks by the Times, obviously the English paper, usually quite reliable. They're talking that there's been obviously conversation going on between the UEFA and the FA or UK government about this. And the hold up at the moment is the fact that UK still have a lot of travel restrictions for people from foreign countries. And in terms of VIPs from other countries, apparently it's also somewhat to do with foreign TV stations. That was kind of the hold up, and that's why now they're almost looking at actually playing it in Portugal again, like they obviously did last season, but not in Lisbon, but this time in Porto instead, which is interesting for me, because for me it doesn't really help much, because that's why Porto. Just put it in Lisbon. Like, Porto is just more of a ball ache to get to because it's a smaller place. Like, do it in Lisbon, if anything. I know they had it last year. I don't care, but don't make me fly to a smaller. It's like you're making me fly to Manchester. It's much more difficult to find flights for that. Do you know what I mean? I don't live in a big town, for flip's sake. It's pissing me off. Not that I know I'll get a ticket, but even if I just contemplate it, now not only the ticket is a problem, but also getting there is a problem. So, But how do you feel about all of that, Con? Obviously, it's a tough one to say, this is my opinion, but I mean, I don't know whether you would have tried to go or whatever if it was in England, but are you bothered really where it is, or do you think just make the best decision and whatever's fair? Do you know what I mean?
The conspiracy theory you got there, I kind of like that. Add some sort of the mystery to it, but I would love it to be at Wembley, man. And if it was, I would probably pay like £500 for a ticket if I had to. and I'm going to that game.
Question is if 500 is enough, you know.
I will rinse.
I'd be willing to pay 500, but I'm not sure if I'd be willing to pay £1,000, which I might be worried I'd have to.
Like if it's in the if it's at Wembley, I'm 2,000% going to that, 100%. I've missed watching football live, because for a long time I didn't go because I wasn't really happy with Chelsea.
Did you try, or did you get tickets for the league or the cup final?
No, but I can get tickets close to the time. That's never really a problem for me, to be honest. But I'd love it to be at Wembley, man. If it can't happen in Istanbul, then make it at Wembley. It's 2 English teams. It's like an 85,000 feet. Wait, how many people are allowed to go? Is it 5? 5K?
UEFA are asking for 22,500, which is the capacity Wembley will allow the Euro group stages.
22.
22.5, but UK government would have to release COVID restrictions 2 weeks earlier than they initially planned to allow that. Right now, rules would stop it at 10K. Also by that point.
And how many of them will go to fans, do you know?
Well, for Turkey would have apparently been 4,000 City, 4,000 Chelsea.
So it'd be 4K each way. Yeah, I think just for football in general, like, if it was 2 Spanish teams, have it in sort of Spain, you know, like, just because of how bad football's been for us, like, not in terms of watching it, but not being able to go, the pandemic and all that, like, it's 2 English teams. If it can't happen in Istanbul, give it to us and make it so much easier for us fans to get there. Because it's such a pain in, like, the butt with all these travel restrictions, spend loads of money to go abroad to watch it. So if it can't happen where it's planned, let us have it here, you know?
It's weird because my sort of slightly adjusted opinion to this is, if now obviously the cup final, it's in England, like local fans can go to the Leicester League game, local fans can go. Next season, people will be allowed to go, but there will still be people from abroad that won't be able to go to games in England for various reasons, for travel restrictions that the UK might have. Portugal doesn't have that. So in theory, not only Chelsea fans from the UK could go, but also Chelsea fans from elsewhere could go.
Yeah, this subject here caused a lot of debate the other day on Twitter, because one side you had the people who like go, the season ticket holders should have the right to go to watch the Champions League final.
They should, to be honest. No, they should.
And then on the other hand was like, well, it's not really fair because like other fans should get the chance to go too. And I'm more on the side of the other fans should get to go too, because I'm someone who throughout like my years have gone to plenty of Chelsea games, right? And I do not hold that sense of entitlement where I think I deserve to go because I've been to more games. If anything, I think I probably deserve least to go because I've been to as many games, you know? And it's a special occasion, you know, and regardless, I'm going to be watching a game somewhere, you know? And if someone can get to go who's never seen Chelsea before play live and they get to watch Chelsea play the Champions League final, man, I would let them take my space, you know? But not everyone thinks like that. People are a bit selfish, you know? Like, if we're going to have football next season, we can watch it then, you know? Let someone else have the Champions League final.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally get what you mean. And I think like how Chelsea officially sell the tickets, I think they should sell it on. I think season ticket holders should take priority in that. But what I'm saying is, by not holding it in England, is, you know, how we talk about being willing to pay £500. If you're from a country that has travel restrictions to the UK, even if you were willing to do that, you could not go because you're not allowed to enter without quarantining.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. You could still sell the tickets to season ticket holders when the game's in Porto or elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? But people from abroad could at least have this option of paying over to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it gives them the option, because I think if it's abroad, though, people will be like, oh, why can't we just have it in England? We deserve to go. It's just making it more expensive for us. And I think that's very selfish thinking, to be honest, because I don't know. One thing I've noticed in the Chelsea fan base, I know this is going a bit off topic, but there's a section of our fans that are so entitled and think they're so much above other like international fans, and it really pisses me off. I'm sorry to say that, but it really does. And I think Porto, that'd be a good option, because you could still go, you know? Like, if you want to go enough, you can still go. Like, you would have to go on abroad anyway. It was going to be in Istanbul and Turkey, so you would have made that trip anyway. So what does it matter if it happens in Porto, where more people can go?
Again, do it in Lisbon, because Obviously, there will be flights from England if it's in Porto, because London has huge airports. But people in other places with less big airports, Porto is much more of a ball ache to get to than Lisbon. So,
in London, we have like London Southend, we have London Gatwick, we have London Stansted. Like we have plenty of places we can fly out from.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like it's mad.
Luton too.
If you want to be a bit bougie, you can even go London City Airport.
Yeah, exactly. If you want your fancy a bit fancy,
Exactly. We have a super chat by Jesters here, which I appreciate a lot. Again, guys, if you want to, kind of make sure we discuss your comment, do use the super chat function. And he asks, Willy Caballero or Kepa for penalties in the Champions League final, or Mendy? Obviously, Mendy starts the game, but Con, would you kind of hold a fifth sub in extra time for a goalkeeper change or no?
No. I think Willy's probably.
Let me kind of add to the question. Would you have had a different opinion before he saved one this weekend?
No.
Or would you have the same opinion?
Same opinion, 100%.
Okay.
I think if a keeper starts the game, he deserves to be in that penalty shootout just as much as a player taking the penalty. He wants to take one, People say Mendy's not good at pens. Come on, let's be honest. What keeper is a guessing game, Caballero obviously played with some of them City players, and he's got a good record for sure. But then again, he hasn't
played a game in.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what you got to take
10
into
months.
account. Exactly. So, and Mendy's big. He just has to dive one way and hope he gets lucky. He's a big guy. He can really get down to shots as well. So, for me, Mendy he starts in the penalty shootout.
For me, I mean, I would have said the same as you, but I feel more, even though it was a stupid penalty to save, but I think it still makes a big difference for Mendy, the fact that he saved one now, because he hadn't saved one for us so far. So I think the fact that he has now, I think makes a big difference, that I'm even more confident and more comfortable with him taking the shootout, if that makes sense. And just quickly, because people seem to have been slightly confused by Con saying £500 there. £500 for the ticket isn't like an official price. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's one of those where, if you find a way to get a ticket, but you maybe have to overpay, and Con just named a random number. It could be 500, it could be 700, it could be 1,000, it could be. I'm sure you'll get a ticket for $3,000 if you want, right? Regardless of where in the stadium. And personally, I wouldn't be surprised if it's significantly more than 500, just because the seats are so limited. Obviously, if it's a 90,000 Wembley, 500 might be just like a fair enough estimation. But I think if it's only 22,000, you have like what? 10,000 of those corporate, so you only have like 10,000 fans and half of them is City, which you don't want. So then you have like 8,000, 7,000 of either neutral areas or Chelsea areas where you even want to have the ticket. So that's where you're going up and up and up.
It's not a problem for me.
500, is it?
I've sat in the Emirates home, just like home crowds to watch Chelsea. Not an issue for me. Like if Chelsea score, I'm celebrating in front of the City fans and getting beat up afterwards. I have no problem with that.
Our City fans won't beat you up.
True, there won't be many there, to be honest. Yeah, you're right.
I'm sure they'll be there, but the City fans don't seem like the type to beat someone up. I don't know. If that makes sense. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I mean, Melly says she's paid more than 500 for a ticket. I wonder what game that was, because I mean, she went to the final in Baku, but no one went there, so the tickets weren't that expensive. So.
But the travel there must have been.
The travel, but we're talking about tickets. So I'm a bit confused. Tell me later, love, because I'm very confused what game you paid more than 500 quid for one game. But anyways, I suppose a couple of last things that we'll discuss before we end it out here. Well, Arsenal is coming up. Obviously, we're doing a preview with Babs and maybe one or two others tomorrow. How are you feeling for that? Because what I touched on before you joined, I'm not sure you know, but probably you do. Chelsea from the last 3 games, which is obviously Arsenal, Leicester in the league next Tuesday. Again, why is that on Tuesday? Like Tuchel said after the game on the weekend, why on earth are we playing Leicester on Tuesday, not on Wednesday? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But anyway, Leicester on the Tuesday and then Aston Villa on Sunday. From these 3 games, we only need 4 more points. For people that don't understand footballing rules, that's a win and a draw, right? So we can have things sorted, but obviously by the time we play Leicester, but we don't even need to beat Leicester. So, it's a mad one. How crazy is that we're in a position where 4 points is now enough? Like, it's crazy to me.
Yeah. That's crazy, and I really want to dunk on Arsenal, man. I want revenge for that December period that put me into depression. That Arsenal game did things to me, Laurenz, bro. I can't lie to you. It really did. It really put me in a horrible mood for like 2 weeks. It really did change me. That, especially near December time as well, when you're meant to be happy and all that. Night, it really pissed me off. So I want to dunk on them.
Go on.
Yes, carry on.
Yeah, first of all, I appreciate the donation by African Prince. Not sure why you didn't add any comment to it, but I appreciate it regardless. I saw Monster talk about this the other day, and he was like, Arsenal was literally one of our worst 5 performances he's ever experienced. And the weird thing is, if Jorginho scores his penalty, we might get that back to a 3-3 draw still for the last 10. Because somehow we got back into it. Obviously, when Callum assists that goal, and then we have the penalty, miss it. And then we had another 1 or 2 chances later. Like, we could have still gotten a draw out of that. But until, let's say, the 80th minute, that was by far our worst performance this season. And we need to take some revenge. And thankfully, now we have a manager where I'm fully confident that we're just going to take an easy dub, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to jinx it. So touch wood, fingers crossed and all sorts. But, you know, I'm confident. no, like Jester, talking about 5-0 or some shit. But, you know, still, I'm fairly, I don't know. I know Arsenal's Arsenal and William scored now their first goal this season, but as much as I win him, I don't like him. I'm the biggest fan, but I'm at least happy for him to score 1 goal because it's harsh to go a full season without a goal. So I'm like, have your 1 goal, and who cared against West Brom, right? I was a big one in it, but still feeling confident, or because of the December game, shitting yourself?
No, I'm feeling confident for it. I just really want to dunk on them so hard because that was probably the worst performance I've ever watched. I don't know if it was the worst performance I've ever watched, but it's the result that really hurt me the most for like a Premier League game.
Yeah.
Because this is the worst Arsenal team I've ever seen in my lifetime, and we lost 3-1. Like, are you having a laugh? Like, that really got to me. It really did. So I would love nothing more than if we beat them like 4-0 or something, I would be shouting from the rooftops. I would be intolerable to Arsenal fans on Twitter. Like, I would be everywhere just making that known that we dunked on Arsenal. I hate Arsenal. Entitled fan base who think they deserve everything. I want to smack them. I want Arsenal fan TV to cry. I want Twitter fans on Arsenal to cry. I want people at the pubs to cry. I want every person who supports Arsenal to feel how I felt in December, because it was horrible. I need it.
But they won't feel the same because they're not, like, it's irrelevant for them almost, even if they get battered.
No, but that's why I'm gonna be intolerable. That's why I'm not gonna get off their back until they are. You know, I'm gonna keep putting that result in their face, like they put the Martinelli goal in our face all the time. You know, like
that Martinelli goal. What a shambles of a fan base, honestly.
Oh, someone put in the chat 6-0 deja vu. I'd love that. If we could beat Arsenal 6-0, I would cry almost as much as winning the Champions League. You know, it'd mean that much.
We'd be having a love and field day, honestly. Yeah. Just quickly to respond to this comment by VG. I thought the exact same thing. When I looked at the table last night, I thought we need 5. But Sky Sports literally posted today that we need 4. And I presume they did their calculations. So hence why I'm telling you 4, right? I'll get the comment up, or the post up, just to, you know, explain why I said what I said. And that's not the right Sky Sports. See, you people don't understand this problem. There's Sky Sports Germany and Sky Sports. So on Twitter, to find this, it's difficult sometimes. So the race for European football. Chelsea currently positioned 3rd, points 35. Played 35, points 64. We could set P35. I was confused. Played 35, points 64. Following the win at Man City and West Ham's defeats to Everton, Chelsea need just 4 more points from the final 3 games to guarantee a top 4 finish. So I don't that's all I'm saying. I presume they're correct, right? What does deja vu mean? Deja vu means as much as when something that you've experienced before happens again and you're a bit confused why it happens, but people then kind of use it in a slightly different way of just something that's happened before it happens again. Whether it's a good or a bad thing, it's both a deja vu. Yeah. It's weird because deja vu is actually also a word in German, so, you know, I didn't actually have to learn that word in English.
What does it mean in German?
It's the same thing, literally. But we just pronounce it deja vu. But yeah, I don't know what language it stems from, because the vu sounds French to me, how we pronounce it, but the deja doesn't sound French to me. Maybe it is. I don't know.
If someone knows what deja vu. It's probably French.
I love how you tried putting the accent on there too as well. It's brilliant.
Yeah, how it makes sense in French. See, everyone said French. See, I was right.
French Vescoli.
There you go. There you go. See, no, I mean, I can speak a little bit French, but it's been a while, so you know.
Bilingual and that.
Yeah, that's just German and English. I can't do another one. A tad of Italian and even a smaller tad of French, and then we're done for. There you go. There you go. All right, calm down. Not fail. All right. Deja could be Balkan. I don't know. I don't know. See, deja vu has been derived from Vietnamese. See, there you go. Fail, Melinda. Vietnamese. Big up the Vietnamese. Any which way. Do you have anything else to add? Any other topics that maybe you saw on Twitter that you think would be interesting to discuss quickly, Con? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but maybe you have something.
Can't think of anything at the top of my head, to be honest.
Or a question that you want me to answer, because I always ask you all these questions.
Okay, so in the cup final, we can say Kovacic is back. Who'd you start in midfield?
Well, for me, and I know
Let's just say Kovacic plays a game beforehand, and he looks very good.
Okay. Because that would have been my cop. I'm like, well, if he isn't fit for Arsenal, then he's probably not ready to start against Leicester. But presuming he is ready to start against Leicester. No, I don't, because I think Jorginho and Kovacic just worked brilliantly in big games when we needed them to. And as much as I rate Kovacic as a player, I don't think that we should break that up.
So what, are you going with Jorginho and Kante then?
Yeah. And then in the league, I'll play Kovacic.
Fairs. I'd probably go with the same. A question that just came to mind, though, because I was literally talking about this earlier, though, is who would you rather sign, Declan Rice or Marquinhos?
Marquinhos.
Let's go. You'd think it'd be a popular opinion, right? But it's not.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's weird. I mean, I'd like to sign Declan Rice. If, it's not my money. So if Chelsea are willing to do it, sign him. You know, I love a bit of romance in football. Big fan. So just for that, brilliant. He's also a good player. Very good player. So, and he solves some issues that we have. But Marquinhos literally comes in and is... I know Thiago Silva's great, but Marquinhos literally comes in and is both our best centre-back and our best DM in one player. And he literally solves both problems depending on what formation we play. So, for me, clearly Marquinhos.
No, yeah, I would agree. I think a lot of Chelsea fans get lost in that sort of love story when it comes to the Marquinhos and Rice debate. I think Marquinhos is better in every aspect, to be honest.
Yeah, obviously what Rice has on Marquinhos significantly is age, right? And obviously a lack of settling in. But obviously just the fact that Thiago's here would make Marquinhos settling in a lot easier in the first
place. Saying that though, Marquinhos is only 26.
That is not true.
It is?
That cannot be true.
I would just Google it to make sure it is. I'm pretty sure he's.
That
26.
is the biggest man. Oh, I mean, he turns like 27 in next week, but still, that is. I thought he was like 29.
Yeah, same.
What the hell? What? This is crazy, bruh.
I always thought he was older as well. It feels like he's been around for quite a while, isn't it?
That is mad. Like, I didn't think he was old. Don't get me wrong. I didn't think he was like 30, but I thought he was like 28, 29-ish.
Yeah, same here. And then when I saw that 26, I was like, wow.
Even Kovacic surprises me that he's still only 26. I think of him in my head as already at least 27.
Kovacic is 26?
Yeah.
I would never have thought.
Maybe he turned 27 a couple of weeks ago, but when I last checked, not long ago, he was 26. He turned 27 literally last week, so yeah.
Yeah, last week.
4 days ago. So, but still.
That's crazy.
Honestly, I did not clock Marquinhos was that young. I swear we've known about Marquinhos. Where was Marquinhos before PSG? I want to Google this. Because I feel like I knew about Marquinhos before he was at PSG.
So I think I remember Chelsea tried signing him before they got David Luiz back, if I'm not wrong.
At Roma, that's where he was. At Roma.
See, we can have
But
a
he only
really good
played 10 games. He only played 10 games before PSG signed him, so. That's crazy. PSG signed that guy 8 years ago. They signed him at 18.
That's crazy, isn't it?
That's mad. That's mad. West Ham online. Look at you with the knowledge. Pick up yourself. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's big. Again, appreciate the donation by African Prince. Pep got to figure Tuchel out first. Yeah, he does, and he won't. Come on. Yeah, Corinthians when he was younger. I mean, the amount of brilliant players coming out of Brazil is ridiculous. I mean, obviously they have like a population of like 200 million, so the likelihood of a dozen every few years being really good coming out of that country is quite high, I suppose. But how many great Chinese players have we heard of? So Brazil know what they're doing.
And it's like the love of football in Brazil, isn't it? It's like like the culture here. It's mad, and it's always the flary players as well. It's always like.
Except Oscar.
Hey, come on. Oscar's first game, he spun Polo and put it on.
Yeah, Oscar's first game. To me, Oscar was such a frustrated player to me. I'm like, you're such a weird Brazilian. I'm like, you're not fast. I've never seen you do a skill in my life other than against Pirlo in their first game. And you're somehow better at tackling than you are at run and shooting. Well, no, shooting maybe not. But then at passing and at dribbling, which I've never seen in my life. Oscar was the most confusing player. And I know I have a bit of a agenda against Oscar just because he's the reason we sold Mata, and that triggered me.
Laurenz, you can't have an agenda against Oscar, man.
Oh, I can.
He's brilliant.
You remember, like last year, people were like, when Oscar still to this day keeps talking, I wants to come back to Chelsea. I'm like, bruv, know your place.
Let him come back. I love Oscar.
Nah, absolutely not. He can play under 23s. That's what he can do.
Let's say he got for like 15 mil. That'd be a great player to have in the squad.
Bruv, I'd rather have Barkley than Oscar.
No, you don't mean that. You don't mean that.
No, I don't mean that.
You don't mean that.
Oscar's been vegetating just life away in bloody China.
Yeah, he's been balling there, though. He's been good.
Yeah, brilliant. You wouldn't have wanted to sign Gerrard after he was at LA Galaxy either, would you?
Yeah, but that's a bit different. He was like 55.
In a minute, you're going to tell me Oscar is also 23.
Wait, I need to Google that age quickly.
Yeah, but I don't. What's his like? Does it come up if I put in Oscar? Probably not. Probably the Oscar.
29.
See, there you go. So by the time we time we stay, no, I'm not having it. Ramirez, Ramirez is different, but Ramirez didn't look like he would be skilly, and even he got a skill every now and again, but he was mainly fast. I'm talking difficult territory here, but Ramirez to me looked like a marathon runner more than a skill person. And that's the way he played, and he was amazing at it. But Oscar looked like he should have been good at skills, but he just wasn't. It triggered me. Because I was told this stream was telling this Brazilian wonder kid. I'm like, a Brazilian wonder kid? Great. I won skills left, right, and center. I was hoping we'd get another Ronaldinho. And what did I get? A few long shots, and that's it.
He had that outside the foot shot against Palace.
That's true.
That's a nice goal.
And the free kick was against Palace. The outside of the boot, wasn't it? At home against Stoke?
I'm not too sure.
Was it both Palace? Because the free kick was left for Palace.
Yeah, I think they're different games though.
Yeah, no, different games because the free kick was away.
And he scored 2 against Arsenal too.
It's true. Yeah, like I said, I'm not saying he was necessarily shocking at the time. He still triggered me a few times, but he wasn't awful. But not after 5 years in China. Do you know what I mean?
I would always welcome him back. That's just because I love him. Like sentimental value.
No, I hear that. It's fair enough. The one last question, which I actually saw in the chat a minute ago, but I can't be bothered to go back. Right, Tomori. Obviously, I'm sure you would have seen that he scored the 3-0 for AC Milan against Juventus yesterday, putting Juventus in a position where they're currently on the way to Europa League. Which, like I said on Twitter, I mean, Ronaldo will be a big fan. Imagine a stat padding he can do in the Europa League. So. He will come out next year, score 50 goals, and claim he's the big man again just because he scored 30 in the Europa League. And I wouldn't put it past scoring 30 in 13 Europa League games. I wouldn't put it past him. But maybe Ronaldo against. To be fair, it makes the Europa League a bigger competition if it's like Real Madrid against Juventus against Liverpool in the final. Be a big game.
Yeah, it actually would. Yeah.
To be fair, Salah against Ronaldo, step heading left, right, centre. But actually, about Tomori, obviously, it also puts Milan in a position where Champions League is looking somewhat or fairly likely for them. Obviously, they still have to see it out, 3 games to go. But the main hold-up for Tomori, or why there was a little uncertainty, does he go to Milan in the summer or not, was mostly about can they afford him. And the biggest reason why they might not be able to afford him is if they don't make Champions League. But because of this win, obviously only scored the 3-0, but 3-0 sealed it. And, you never know against Ronaldo especially. Even 2-0 up with like 10 minutes to go, there's always a threat. But a 3-0 up, it was done for, right? So, how do you feel about that? Tomori leaving? Because at least that's what the report said, and he wants to stay there. They want him. It's just a question of can they afford him. And obviously the buyout clause is those 28 million euros. And it also reported that Chelsea will not be willing to negotiate. So how do you see that panning out?
I love Vic. Out of that group of like Reece James, Mount, Tammy, Tomori, I think Tomori was my favourite, or should I say is my favourite. So
the personality of footballer.
I just really like Tomori. Like when I was watching Derby because of Lampard, Mount, and Tomori, I didn't really know much about Tomori, but I really grew fond of him.
Yeah, I hear you.
And then I remember the summer before, I was like, he deserves to play in this Chelsea team, and everyone was like, oh no, we've got too many numbers, etc., etc. But when David Luiz left, we kept Tomori, and he actually did really well. As I told you, this guy is a good player, so it really does suck that he could be going. But I'm happy for him, Like, if they get top 4, I'm pretty sure they buy him, right? Because they have Champions League money. So I'm happy for him. He looks like he's settled really well there. And it's good that some English talents, are going abroad. I don't think that happens enough, So
I agree. I mean, obviously, I don't have really any sort of affiliation with, do I care what English talent are abroad, really? But in terms of Chelsea talent going abroad, if they can't make it here, like I was happy when Olaino went to Torino. Obviously, he's back at Fulham now, but he was at Torino for a while and doing pretty good there. So that was pretty good. But obviously, the frustrating thing is that he would actually leave for 28 million euros, so like 25 million pounds, if that.
Yeah.
Because he's had a good season, he would second half of the season would probably be worth more. But at the same time, if someone told me 28 million for Tomori, who's barely played this season, I'd probably take it. As much as I would have wanted him to stay, sure. But if you told me, okay, we're gonna have to, we will sell him factually, and then how much will you get for him? You tell me 30 million euros. I'm like, fair enough. But now after the season, I'm like, well, we could definitely get more for him. So it's one of those. I mean, I'm sure there will be some conversations between Chelsea and Tomori happening because obviously they have the option to buy, but Tomori still needs to agree to it, right? So people need to understand it. Chelsea can't say no, but Tomori can still say no, right? If he wants to. It doesn't seem like he would want to do that, but I'm sure Chelsea will hold a couple of chats with him and his dad and say, you might want to leave, sure, but what if you say no to them and then we just sell you for more money instead? Wouldn't be totally shocked if that happens. Do you know what I mean? No. But obviously he wants to stay in Milan, so I'd be happy for him if he goes, I actually like AC Milan. In terms of, if you ask me what's my favourite Italian team, and they're not one of my teams, no, but if I have a soft spot for an Italian team, it's always been AC Milan.
No, yeah, I agree. And I think it's good for him as well because rumours are we might be getting a centre-back this summer. And with the number we already have, would he have been a regular first-team player? I'm not too sure. But AC Milan, he's starting nearly every game, so I think he's a good move for him. And we could do with the money, because we need to start offloading some players. Our squad's a bit too, So 25 mil, it'd be good. It'd be good.
Yeah, you take it. At the end of the day, any bit of money that comes in, and that one would be a guarantee because we struggled to offload anybody last summer. Did we sell a single person for actual money last season?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, because Matt Miazga's still on the books. Even he didn't sell, so we'll try.
The most we got for a player was Barkley's loan fee, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was 10 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, big dubs. And here we have a super chat before we round it out here by. I'm going to try to pronounce it. You're allowed to insult me if I butcher it. Murad El Farisi. I appreciate the €3.49 donation asking, should Hakim Ziyech play against Manchester City in the final? We actually discussed this previously. Con says yes. I say no, but please don't hate me. But yeah, no, Con, you just want to repeat why for Murad, who obviously missed the beginning of the stream?
Yeah, just for me, just because he scored in both games against City recently, so I think he deserves that game. Yeah.
Fair dues. And just to explain why I personally wouldn't is because I think City, when they're at their best and when they're playing all of the best players, they are more high pressing than they were in the last games against us. And not even just high pressing in terms of pressing our defenders. They're more energetic. They're more quick to put you under pressure. And that's the one thing Hakim Ziyech has struggled with this season at Chelsea, aside from those 3 games when he initially came back under Frank. That was very good. And whether he had space or not, really. But in the second half of the season, now, whenever he had space, he played well. Atletico at home, brilliant performance. But he had space. And there was a few other occasions when the more space he has, the more time he has on the ball, the better he plays. And to be honest, even yesterday, on Saturday against City, he wasn't like super under pressure as soon as he received the ball. So even that, and he did good. Even though he did look a bit more confident than the last few weeks, all good. Showed more the reaction I would like to see from a player that's disappointed for not starting the Champions League semi-final than I saw from Pulisic, who didn't look bothered for the first half hour. But each other around, I suppose. But yeah, for me, it's just bring him on if we need to, if we want to. We have 5 subs, sure. But for me, that's not the type of game where we're playing. If we played a European game, a European side, even if we played PSG, right? Or maybe not, maybe even Bayern. If you played those types of sides, I would probably start Ziyech. But against City, because they're inside and they play this high-energy football, and that's what Ziyech, in my opinion, struggles with, that's why I wouldn't.
But then on the flip side, if there's one player in our attack who can make a pass to really just take out City's press, Ziyech,
Yeah, but I don't see those passes often enough to have that edge for me. Because how many passes has he played? I know he hasn't played that much, but 5 in the second half of the season.
He did quite a few against City though in the 2 games he played.
But those outrageous passes that the Mount couldn't play, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Like one or two, one was against City that outside of the boot into Werner's run, that was true. That is one. He had the one over the top against Atletico, Porto, one of those.
I think it's Atleti.
Wasn't it Porto before we conceded the 1-0 in the second leg?
Could have been.
One of them ended. That was a ridiculous ball as well. So he had a few, but I feel like they don't come regularly enough for me to be confident that he will play it in the final. So then I'm like, if you don't play that type of ball, then, if I was certain that he would play that type of ball at least once or twice in the game, I would agree I'd start him for that. But because I'm not sure whether he would, do you know what I mean? But I mean, I'm not saying your opinion is wrong. I'm just saying that's why it doesn't do enough for me.
I get what you're saying.
Fair. But, ladies and gentlemen, we've been going for 1 hour and 14 minutes already. I really do appreciate every single one of you that has tuned in. 2 things. First of all, check out the OneFootball app. Link is down in the description. Second thing, get subscribed. We nearly have 200 people watching still, which I really appreciate by every single one of you. But we are just over 200 subscribers away from the big 10K, so the big 10,000. Get subscribed if you haven't already. The big red subscribe button underneath. Click it. Help me reach that massive milestone for me. It would honestly mean the world. Smash the like button. Become a member if you fancy that. Use the super chat function. I suppose we're running it out now, so save it for next time, I suppose. But appreciate all the super chats today as well. Of course, as always, check out Con on Twitter. His link is down in the description. Con, I appreciate you coming on a lot. Don't worry about being a bit late. Everyone falls asleep every now and again. Absolutely no problem at all. Again, as always, appreciate you coming on. Any last words you have to share? Otherwise, I round it out there, bro.
No, just thanks for having me on, and I apologize for being late.
No problem at all, mate. Like I said, get subscribed, ladies and gentlemen. Smash the like button. Be absolutely brilliant. Check out Con. And we'll see you tomorrow for a preview for the Chelsea against Arsenal preview with Babs and maybe Lewis or whatever. We'll see what happens. But definitely tune in for that. Subscribe for that. Hit the notification bell button so you don't miss that. And up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards. And I'll see you next time.